Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
What's up, everybody? It's the X-Fan Show with the two craziest guys on the internet talking UFL talk. What? No, Wally, one
I ain't
crazy
crazy.
guy.
I'm not
and a
crazy.
professional.
I never.
Arlington, I think I'm
never
kind
was
of
crazy.
giving away what's going on tonight. If you see my background, Arlington? And you see what I'm wearing?
I do see you are Memphis out tonight.
I am Memphis. Look, I even got the Memphis Showboat hat on. You know, tonight they are my second favorite team next to the Battlehawks. We'll just say that. Hopefully our guest doesn't get mad at us. But Arlington, I am actually kind of excited about who we have coming on tonight, and he's backstage with us right now as we speak.
I think hopefully I got it. Yeah, I did. Okay. Woo.
You got
I wasn't
it?
certain. I got it. It should be tagged, and he should be able to retweet
Share
it
it
out to his followers
and all that.
Yeah,
All right, Arlington, you know me. I always love messing names up. So do you want to do the introduction?
I'm scared on this one, man, because I might mess it up myself.
What?
But ladies and gentlemen, joining us on the program this evening is from the Memphis Showboats. He's the wide receivers and tight ends coach. Ladies and gentlemen, TJ Vernieri. Bring him in. There you go.
How are we doing,
Did
everybody?
I get it right, TJ? Did I get it right, or did I mess it up?
TJ Vernieri, you got it.
Well, okay, hold on. So we were talking before this show, and TJ, I messed up your last name, and you didn't even correct me.
I must say, something happened with my connection, so that must have timed out really perfect for you guys.
I guess so. TJ, thank you for joining us. We do appreciate it. Let's get into it. We're officially going into season 2 of this UFL. You were with Memphis. Did you think we would get here, and where do you see this progression going for this season with this combined league after 1 year in together?
Yeah, I think it's an extremely competitive league. I don't think people realize that the talent pool just got significantly better. I mean, you combine the talents of the USFL players and the talents of the XFL players, and you get a really special pool of talent. And that's, again, it's a really special combination of players and coaches and everything going on. So I only expect that the competition will get more difficult as we continue to progress in the United Football League.
Okay, so you say that it's this talent pool. I know, let's go back to last year when this merger happened. A lot of people were mad that this merger happened, saying that this was going to destroy this league. It was going to lose a lot of players. I saw it the opposite. I mean, I wasn't a fan of it at first, but then as I started looking at it, I was like, wow, we're actually going to get the more quality players. Is that how you guys saw it because you just said the pool shrunk up, the talent got more better. I mean, is that how you saw it as a coach?
I would answer that with it's more selective. That goes nothing against anyone that was, again, we had more players into our training camps in last year. So again, selective in terms of the talent pools that we had from each league was already selective. So when you become more selective, that means, again, the talent level is only going to rise. But like I said, that goes nothing against any of the players that have been in previous leagues and continue to make teams and going forward. So the talent pool absolutely improved this year and post-merger.
Okay, Arlington, I know you got something for him because you always got those. I just got the dumb questions. You always got the intelligent questions. So I know you got something, Arlington.
I hate when you do this to me, man, because you always pick this on me and make me feel like I'm just completely this intelligent guy. But anyway, TJ, grateful to have you on the program as always. And I definitely want to see, at this case, where's your mindset going into the 2025 season when it comes to you working with the wide receivers and the tight ends? Where does it start at? Because last season wasn't as the best, but this year you're getting some players that could potentially go higher than they did before last year. So where's your head right now when it comes to those positions?
Yeah, we already had a very competitive group last year. I don't think people realize we had Dawood Davis signed with the Carolina Panthers and Sage Surratt signed with the Arizona Cardinals. So there was already some key pieces there. I know we've continued to add to the roster, and I think the competition this camp is going to be fantastic to see both of those position groups really grow. And like I said, the talent pool and the ability that we have to really put together a special group, especially in those two position groups, will be absolutely fantastic this year.
TJ, I'm glad you said that because me, like I said, I just thought it was you're more of a coach. I mean, just to run it down, Gannon University, the Breakers, the Calgary Stampeders, just the list of your coaching goes on and on and on. I want to go back to the Stampeders because that's one of my favorite. Them and the Toronto Argonauts are two of my favorite Canadian leagues. Explain to people the difference, or is there a difference between a way you coach a Canadian football to American football? Is there a difference, or what is your mindset of how you teach that?
Yeah, it's absolutely different because the rules are different. So you have to adjust to, again, either set of rules. So in Canada, it's 12 versus 12. The field is wider and longer, and you basically kind of have the ability to motion wherever you want pre-snap. So that comes along with timing up the quarterback and cadences and receivers getting into their specific positions, running backs free releasing out of the backfield. So it's a different set of rules that you absolutely have to become accustomed to. I will say, in my experience coaching in the Canadian Football League, it's only made my ability to look at film and stuff like that. And as you watch NFL tape or UFL tape, college football, which again is 11 on 11, I think it's allowed me to see the game much faster because there's one less player. The Canadian Football League is an extremely fast league, and that starts really pre-snap with all the shifts and motions, and people are constantly moving around. So when it's less people moving around, it's easier to follow. Your eyes aren't all over the place on the tape. But really competitive league, really exciting league. I'm grateful for my 2 years there with the Stampeders. I think we got a lot of stuff done in my time there.
That's interesting. Go ahead, Arlington. No,
I see the question. I want to see what that was. I think we may have answered it, but we're going to see. It says, what motto or inspiration do you personally have for yourself and for your players?
Ooh, good one.
That's a great question. I mean, I always look, again, for myself, I talk about with my playing career. I unfortunately had a career-ending injury in 2018 as a player, and that's not something that is easy for anybody to go to, especially in my specific football life. I've dedicated my life to football. I'm married to the game, I always say all the time. And it's not easy when someone tells you literally you cannot play anymore. So I have since that transformed all of my goals into coaching and making sure that my players understand my story and that my goal is for them to not have those issues and obviously succeed at the highest level. So I would kind of answer that it's kind of a two-way street, coaching and playing. And now that I've seen kind of both sides of the aisle, the number one thing for me is to see my players grow and succeed. And that's how I motivate them. I think being anecdotal as a coach is super important because it opens those lines of communication that you have with your players.
I like that. Now, I want to go back to the one thing that you said about the CFL. Because, I actually started to fall in love with the CFL. And I would tell Arlington, I'm like, dude, the CFL is ridiculous. The game is so freaking fast, it's not even funny. Break it down into layman terms for people. I know you said the field was wider. They could scrimmage every which way, but you said as a coach, it made you see the American game different. Like, break that down into layman terms. Like, how did it make you see it to where like normal people can understand it?
Yeah. So the biggest thing is if there's a 12th guy, so there's a 6th eligible receiver in CFL football, and again, 11 on 11. So that includes NFL, NCAA, college football, and the UFL. There's one less eligible receiver. There's 5. So when you look at formations in the CFL, you're seeing more people in a specific area. So, for example, if you go into an empty formation in the CFL, that's 3-by-3. If everything's even, whereas in the States, it's 3-by-2. So you're getting that extra context of the bonus player. It's very difficult to explain without a visual, but I know when I see safety structures in 11 on 11 football, I feel I can see the disguise much faster because I know when guys start to dictate their pedal sooner or how they play a certain coverage. I think in the CFL, because there's so much going on, there's so much movement, because while the receivers are starting early, the DBs are also starting early. You don't get that as much in 11-on-11 football. You will get people that press bail and do things like that, but you don't see it as often. So I think it's become easier for me to predict and see some of those coverage indicators in the 11-on-11 game. And I think that's been fantastic growth for me as a coach.
Fantastic. We got another question that's coming in from our audience. Amanda asks, what do you think about the kickoff going back to the XFL rule? Now, it may not impact you as much, but you're seeing the game as like everybody else is. So what do you think about that rule, that they're using the NFL rule and putting it back into the UFL this year?
Yeah, I think that's probably a wait and see. I know, again, I coach two position groups, but I would definitely have to do more research on what that looked like in 2023, because I was in the USFL, which was a different kickoff rule at that point in time.
Okay, you say that. So now, again, I saw this is the merger between these two leagues. Now we're into year 2. Year 1, we used the USFL kickoff, right? Now the NFL adopted the XFL kickoff. Now you guys are bringing it back. So and this is because you've been talking about breaking down tape so much, which I find fascinating because I just like watching football, but I don't know what these guys are doing. Explain it again to people like me, people like Amanda, people watching. What is it that you would be looking for going back to the 2023 tapes on that kickoff as a coach?
Yeah, I don't get a ton of time to watch, obviously, special teams tape because I coach on offense. But in terms of how I would process that information, I think it starts with how are players on the return team taking their initial drops? Is someone quick to turn their back completely to the kickoff team? Is someone going to get directly into their pedals so they can see the block developing? Is there a returner that is going to put their feet at a certain landmark? What's kind of his give or take end line to field the ball? Obviously, there's a field zone that he can take the ball out, and all different things like that. What direction does the kicker like to kick? How does he like to kick the ball? How much hang time? Because you kind of have to factor that in with the tighter kind of condensed component of that. So again, the return team is only going to start once they see the kickoff team go. So those would probably be my initial ways to process that tape. And like I said, I'm not an expert in that world. I focus primarily on offense, and that's been my roles as a coach and player in my career.
I mean, no, that was a good breakdown of how you would look at it. I mean,
go ahead. You got
no. I mean, you ain't gonna make. I'm like, okay, I get it. I get exactly what you're saying. That's a great breakdown of how you would look at it. All right, Arlington, go ahead.
We're talking it over with Memphis Showboats wide receivers and tight ends coach TJ Vernieri here on the X Fan Show, just for a little bit more. We're getting it, like I said, we're getting into the 2025 season. Has there, like last season, was there a matchup that you'd be like, you know what? I can't wait till next season because I want my players to go hard after this team? Is there a certain team that you remember from 24 going into 25? Like, that's the team I want to make sure we get after.
Yeah, I don't think there's and again, I view this kind of the same as a player and as a coach now. It's every game is competitive. If you go into a game with a different mentality, like, oh, we want to beat this team more than the other, then you're giving less attention to other opponents. So to me, you have to treat every opponent the same. This league is extremely competitive. Every team is good. Every team has a good offense. Every team has a good defense. Every team has a good special team. So I think there's certain strengths to every team, and you have to find ways to exploit weaknesses and deal with all those different things. But I don't view one team as, oh, we have to beat them versus the other. Every game is a must win. It's a 10-game season. And if you lose a game, you're going to fall behind pretty quick.
Oh, yeah, there you go. But now, Mother's Day, St. Louis is coming to Memphis, right? We're coming to Memphis. I'm trying to talk Amanda into coming to Memphis. But if we come to Memphis, I'm wearing all my Showboat stuff. I'm not wearing my Battlehawk stuff because Bill Alexander's and those yacht guys down there, they're crazy. And I ain't messing with those guys. I'll be decked out in my Showboat stuff. It's funny that you say that with this 10 game season. So you guys literally really only have what, a 14, 15 week season, basically, with the time you guys get to camp, the time you guys start to do your training and all of that stuff. And then we don't really see the gameplay start to really develop until about week 3 in the UFL. Talk about how important that is as you as a coach with receivers bringing guys in that you haven't even coached to get them to buy into your philosophy, or the guys that you coach. Like, talk about how important that is, those couple weeks before this season kicks off, for you guys to get that continuity and that meshing together as a team.
Yeah, and it's different. It's different in every league. When I was in the CFL, you have mini camp, you have more time in the CFL to get stuff done. Obviously, it's a shorter, more condensed season. So you have really like 3 weeks of training camp. You have some buffer time to get ready for that first game. Then it's 10 straight. And then if, again, playoffs and all that, it's 2 more. So it's 12 straight. And I think the best way right now, as we're all preparing for camp, is you kind of have to build that trust and accountability in your players before you even get there. And I could speak for, I've talked to all of the guys in both my position groups, and you have to start that dialogue of, hey, this is kind of what I look for. This is where I think we're going, all those different things. Because if you don't have those open dialogue, those open conversations, the first time you meet somebody, it's going to be a mess. And that really goes forward in any level. And the moment I get a job, I ask for everyone's phone number. I want to talk to them. I want to get to know them. I want to know their stories, because that's important. And the moment that, again, your players trust you and believe in you is when you're going to really see the improvement in all those different things. So it's super important to build those things now, to get them information now, that as we build installs and all that stuff. So making sure they have the information and make sure they understand what you're looking for.
I mean, if you guys listen, this is the X-Fan show. I'm not going to say his last name because I'm going to butcher it. I mean, that's just
Vernieri.
how I always. Vernieri, TJ Vernieri, the receiver and tight end coach for the Memphis Showboats. If you guys really want to know how it works to be a wide receiver, you should be listening to this interview and what this guy is saying, because I'm picking up a lot of stuff on this. So, training camp is just around the corner. What are you doing to prepare to get there? Like, what's going through your mind? You're not like, okay, I know I'm only a couple weeks away. Training, the season's 49 days away. What's going through your head now as you're preparing to get there?
I think I lost you guys for a second. Can you repeat the question, Spurge? I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I'm saying it's time's ticking. Camp is just around the corner. We're talking, 49 days away to kick off? 50
Something
days?
like that.
Right.
Yeah.
What's going through your head now as the coach, knowing that is drawing nearer to the time of camp and the season?
Yeah, and it starts with having a fluid dialogue with your players and coaches. So I've been on the phone constantly, just making sure everyone has proper information. The other assistant coaches, obviously Coach Wisenhunt and I talk every day, which has been fantastic, and us just building together our plans and in terms of what the schedule is going to look like, what plays we're going to run, how we're going to structure the depth chart, and all those different things. So I've had the chance to watch every receiver and tight end, which has been fantastic. So I have an idea of the skill sets we're working with. I usually do my write-up, and then I have a plan going into that first meeting when we talk about personnel, where we're thinking about putting people.
You're yelling at me, and that was a great answer.
He did. You know what? Because I thought he asked the question before, but that's okay though. He answered it anyway. So that's what the thing is. And I wanted to throw something at you, but I can't do that.
All right, go on with your question, because we only got about 5 more seconds with TJ.
Okay. Let me go ahead and ask this question then from Amanda. She said, of any coach that you worked with and also not worked with, who'd you say you have looked up to?
That's a great question. I always say that I love Pete Carroll's teams. I've been a big fan of his for a while. I just think he has a tremendous amount of respect for all of his players. I'm not saying that I've had great head coaches that I've worked for that have all respected their players, but I've really noticed and been a fan of all of his teams. And I had a former, I guess you could call it, mentor of myself, someone that played at the same school that I did, that played for Pete Carroll, and he told me great things about him all the time. And I was really inspired and touched by those things that he told me. So I've always been a fan of his teams.
So did you reach out to Pete to get some advice?
I don't know Pete Carroll, but that would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool. I'm really excited, though, about working with Coach Wisenhunt, and he's a fantastic head coach with an incredible resume. I mean, the guy's won a Super Bowl as an offensive coordinator and took the Arizona Cardinals to their first Super Bowl. So he has a very impressive career, and I'm very fortunate to be in the situation that I'm in.
Yeah. Okay. Now,
you jumped the gun too. I was about to ask.
I know.
You about
yeah.
What was
now,
that,
TJ,
what was that
I know we told Andy we only wanted about 20 minutes. You were like, "Well, we can," but I'm gonna because we love Andy and all that. And I know you got a lot to do, so I want to ask you one question. The big game is this weekend. Well, the second biggest game, the UFL Championship's the biggest game,
Right.
and then we have that second big game that's this weekend, right?
Right.
Possibly has one of the greatest tight ends to ever play the game of football in it, Travis Kelce, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Who is TJ going for? Are we going Eagles, or are you going tight end guy, Kansas City?
Well, both teams have a lot of strengths. I think the way the Chiefs are playing defense is really incredible, and there's fantastic coaches on both sides of this game. Obviously, you have to love the run game that the Eagles do with Jalen Hurts and obviously Saquon Barkley. I think both perimeters are great. They're built a little bit different. I think the Chiefs are more speed-driven than maybe some of the Eagles have, like A.J. Brown, who's a really good possession, red zone threat. Obviously, you have some speed there with Devontae Smith, but there's a lot of different components of each team that I think are absolutely fantastic. It's going to be a great game. So are you asking me who I would pick to win?
Who you pick to win? Who you going with?
I would pick the Kansas City Chiefs to win and three-peat on Sunday.
Listen, I'm not going to argue with you because you're a coach and you know football, and I just watch it as a fan. So, I mean, listen, I think the Chiefs have a great team. I think they will make history, but Saquon is just so good at that running back position.
League MVP Saquon Barkley. So
right,
we'll find that out tonight in the NFL honors. But he's had an MVP season
tonight.
That's right. All right, TJ, thank you for joining us. Tell Andy we said thank you for him joining us. I know he said 20 minutes. I know we went over.
You guys get whatever time you want. I really appreciate it, and thank you for inviting me and thinking of me. And that always goes a long way. So thank you very much.
Oh, no, man. We would love to have you on throughout the season just to talk. Well, tell people if they want to follow you somewhere or watch the progression of the Showboats, where can they follow you and all that stuff?
Yeah, you guys can give me a follow on Twitter. It's just at TJ Vernieri. And my last name is spelled, I think, at the bottom, but there's no dots in it, just TJ Vernieri. That's my Twitter.
All righty, sir. Well, thank you. Good luck. I was a little disappointed you picked the Chiefs, but I understand because you're a coach and you know what the hell you're talking about.
It's going to be a great game.
It is going to be a great game. Over under. Is it going to be over 48 or under 48?
I'm not getting into any of that stuff. I don't know anything about that stuff.
I was just wondering with that, Travis Kelce, does he propose to Taylor?
I don't know anything about that stuff.
Come on, man. He focused on the season this year, man.
No, I know.
Laser focused.
Best of luck to the Showboats. Like I said, me and Amanda, we only live 4 hours away. We've been talking about we're gonna come to some of the Showboat games, and watch you guys just to support you guys and all that stuff. So best of luck to you guys, and we'll be rooting for you.
Absolutely, I really appreciate it, fellas. Thank you very much.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
Have a good one, sir.
You too.
TJ Vernieri, ladies and gentlemen, grateful to have him on the show today. And do we need to? Yes, thank you, TJ, for coming on, man. You great job, and we always pleasant with that. We need to step aside, take a break, and reconnect.
And we'll be right after this.
All right, you're checking in with the X-Man Show right here on Fuel Sports Network.
Arlington, we are back. So Arlington, we just interviewed TJ. One of the big news that came out were the coaching staffs, right? And there was a big hit for one coaching staff in particular today. The Battlehawks lost their OC, right?
Correct. Bruce Binkhouse.
Now,
yes.
they need a new OC. So we were going to talk about this earlier, right? But now, with him gone, Arlington, let's rank these OC these offenses, right? Or these coaching staffs. Okay. So where do you want to start? Who do you want to start with? Who do you think
you should be the next coach? Is that what we discussing?
Well, no, I'm just saying in these coaching staffs, right? Okay.
Okay. Come on, the UFL, right?
Yeah, the UFL. What team do you think has the best coaching staff as of right now?
The Birmingham Stallions.
Okay.
There ain't no question.
So we're going to make Birmingham Stallions number 1, right? Is that what we're doing?
Yes.
The ranked number 1. Okay, number 2. Who would you say?
I got to be the San Antonio Brahmas.
Okay, you're saying San Antonio because they still have pretty much all the same people, right? From the coaching staff. Nobody new, really. So Wade's bringing back all of his guys. Okay, I could go with that as number 2. Who would you go with as number 3?
For offensive state?
No, just coaching staff completely.
Third would be by coaches.
I would agree with your first 2. This one, or I think we might differ.
Dang, because it's difficult. Because I have 2.
See, now Amanda says third Memphis. I'd put Memphis probably at number 4. Because of all of the new head coaches that Ken Wisenhunt has the most NFL experience as a head coach.
Right.
So I'd probably put them at number 4.
I would go with Mike Nolan with the Michigan.
So you would go with Michigan at number 3? Okay, I can agree with you on that one. You heard mine. Number 4 would be Memphis. So who would be your number 4?
Number 4 will probably have to be Memphis because of Wisenhunt. Yeah.
Okay. Wow, we're really kicking it to the Roughnecks and the Battlehawks, huh? Aren't we? And if you think about it, we're kicking Arlington and DC. You know what I'm saying?
That's the difficult part. That's the difficult part about this is the coaching staffs. Because as much as we want to sit here and say Gradkowski is a big part, he was, but who wouldn't say that June Jones could make a stop in St. Louis?
I mean, there was rumors last year that Jones was supposed to join. Was it Stoops or was it Phillips?
I think it was Phillips.
Yeah, he was supposed to join him there. I mean, look, Arlington.
He wanted AJ Smith. AJ Smith is that guy. Roughnecks is probably going to be last on this list, and that's bad.
I might have to disagree with you. As much as it pains me to say it, I'd have to put DC at last because of how much that team had so much talent, right? The year in 2023, think about it. This team went to the championship game, right?
Okay.
And then they had that dismal.
Okay. And I'm going to stop you there.
Okay, go ahead.
Say it for this reason. The reason
I love Reggie Barlow. Reggie Barlow is one of my favorite coaches.
And Fred Koss is one of the and we dissing Greg Williams.
I mean, yeah, dude, you think about it.
But the competition level was different. This was not true. Like what it was the XFL.
That's true. Okay.
If I'm be honest, I could flip 4 and 5 and put DC 4 and Michigan 5.
Okay, I can see it now. Okay,
I'm sorry, not Michigan 5. I'm sorry, but Memphis 5.
Right. Okay, I can see that now. I think when we saw it, I think there was a lot of learning curves for the USFL guys that came in, right? Because we mainly used a lot of the XFL rules, right? So I think there was a lot of training curves for them, right? I mean, listen, we want to sit here and we want to talk about how great Bob Stoops was and all that BS, right? He's got Chuck Long, shake it up, Chuck. Nice guy. You know, got John Hayes, Jay Hayes.
Jay.
I would now. Okay, I'll put Houston at last at 8, and then I'll put DC at 6.
Exactly.
I'll put DC at 7 for the simple fact is that how bad DC played. Like they literally could not pass the ball.
That's
they had
not
Jordan,
even.
But dude, they had Jordan. We saw what Jordan did in 2020 with the Battlehawks. We saw what he did in 2023. And it was like a totally different team this year with DC.
Because of the competition, like TJ had discussed. It was the competition was different, man.
I'm just telling you how I see it.
Right now, Battlehawks are 6 and Arlington is 7. And then Houston would fall off at 8.
Okay.
So with that being said, with the Battlehawks being at 6 on my list, there's way for them to move up if you get somebody offensive minded. If June Jones still want to keep it, and the reason why I'm throwing that out there because I've seen that on social media. They throw out
I saw it
June
too.
Jones' name, and I was sitting there. I was like, does he even still want to coach again? Like I understand what they're looking for out of him and what he was able to do in Seattle. And let's not forget that some of these guys are from Seattle that are playing with the Battlehawks, and they would love to see that. And I'm going to say this again publicly here on this show. Manny Wilkins is QB1 until said otherwise. You're not going to knock me off that pedestal.
Here's what Amanda says. DC players were not on the same page. Rezzy said that in the locker room last year. But is that the player's fault or is that Reggie's fault?
It's a combination of both.
Yeah. I mean, because Reggie's the coach, then he's the one that should take control of it.
Players are the one that has to do the workout on the field. If they're not doing what's being told to them or they're doing something different, and because the way that the competition was, it was different. You couldn't do the same things. Plus, sir, they lost their top running back in Abram Smith.
That is true. This is
his opportunity to get back at the UFL and make a name for himself again in the UFL because that's what he was. He was dominant. He was dominant in the XFL in 2020. But now he's getting an opportunity to revitalize himself going into his first UFL season in 2025.
All right. Now, Arlington, with that being said, we're in our second year of this newly formed league, right? What team has the most to prove?
Okay, say this correctly. Has the most to prove?
Yep.
Or has improved?
The most to prove. Not because we don't really know the full rosters yet to talk about who's been the most improved, right? Now, look, we got to take Birmingham out of this. They're the 3-peat champ for spring football, okay? I mean, you can make an argument that they have the most to prove to go 4 in a row, right? Spring football, who knows? As volatile as this league is, as volatile as spring football is, who knows? You know what I mean? I mean, we've seen
who got to be the most improved.
Who has the most to prove for a team?
The Houston Roughnecks.
Okay. I mean, I agree. Okay, so we take out Houston.
And the Battlehawks. What is the Battlehawks? And what are the Battlehawks going to look like now that AJ McCarron is not the starting quarterback with this team?
See, and look, Sabrina just said it right here. The Battlehawks, because everyone thinks that AJ was everything when he really wasn't. Ooh.
AJ was everything.
AJ was.
Okay.
AJ was the face of this league.
Everything. And we can say
for me to say that, knowing that I was never really an AJ fan because he played in Alabama, but I'm not going to take anything away from the man. This man was this league. He was the UFL.
In the 2 years that he played in spring football, took
in the XFL.
Right. In the 2 years, 14-6. That's 70% winning percentage. All right, or what was it, 15-5? Am I 15-5? Right? What about how it's going
Sabrina,
last year? 82.
I said 3-time spring football champion.
Yes, that's why I let it go. That's why I never said anything
Yeah,
about
because
it.
they won both the USFL champions chips, and then they won
73.
the
Okay.
and then they won the UFL inaugural championship. So they're the 3-time defending spring champion football.
Right.
Am I
Two
right
in
or
the
am I
USFL, one in the UFL. That's why
right?
and that's what I call them. Spring football champions.
Mm-hmm.
They can be that. But when it comes to the UFL, they're just the inaugural champs.
Right.
All right.
Yes.
And they still at this case have the team to be beat, especially after re-signing Alex Magoo as the quarterback, which is going to make it even more interesting for this Stallions team. Who's going to be the starting quarterback for them?
Well, okay. Who do you do? Do you do Magoo or do you do Adrian Martinez?
Well, Martinez is not returning.
Oh, that's right. He's not, is he?
You got Matt Corral. You got, I think,
Yeah.
Jamar Smith to return. And then you got Alex Magoo. Magoo is going to fight for that job. But right now, this is Matt Corral's job to lose.
That is true. It is. I
And
agree.
so at this point, and then we didn't talk about it with TJ Vernieri, but the quarterback room for the Memphis Showboats is a great room for Ken Wisenhunt, who was a former quarterback himself.
Very great room. When you're talking EJ Perry, Quentin Dormady.
Just signed Quinn Dormady, and now Troy Williams. And Troy Williams, yeah.
Troy Williams ain't a slouch either.
Exactly. That's why that prime position for Memphis is what's going to.
You know what? I'm going to take that back.
Season.
I think Michigan right now, Memphis might have the most to prove with that quarterback room. They might have the second best quarterback room in the league behind Birmingham.
They have the best quarterback room in the UFL right now.
I mean,
at least that's how we're sitting at it. We're sitting right now, and Birmingham right there behind them because they don't have the MVP in Adrian Martinez. So you take a slight step back. Granted, Magoo was the MVP in the USFL, but we're talking about a combined league now with the UFL where the competition is different. Now, that be said, the outcomes could still be the same where Birmingham gets wins, or it could be a whole lot more difficult than it was before. This was everybody's chance to see how this was going to play out first year. Let's not also forget that the Birmingham Stallions lost Zach Potter to Sacramento State. Those that don't know who Zach Potter is was the general manager of the Birmingham Stallions.
That is true. You are absolutely right.
Losing him could be detrimental, but they went and got their MVP from 23 from the USFL to come back and play this year.
That is true. You're right. You're right, Arlington.
Take the good with the bad with this one. So, we talk about like what's going on in the NBA with these trades and whatnot. You had to get one to get something else here. So at this point with the Stallions,
I look at it this way. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, in Houston has a lot to prove also, right? We haven't really seen if Mark Thompson's coming back or not, right? I mean, Arlington, look here, I'll give you a little info. I know that UFL analyst put it out there about Darius Shepard not coming back and Marcellus Aitman not coming back. But, let's really look at that room anyways. Listen, my personal opinion, I don't think Darius is retiring. That's why he's not coming back. That's just my opinion. I think the man's retiring. I don't think that the man got cut or anything like that. I just think the man's retiring. I don't have any facts or anything to say if yes or no, if that's the case.
What made you say that, though?
Dude, come on. Let's look at the team. Let's look at it, right? As much as I love DS11, right? As much as I love DS11, okay? Was he really a factor, though, in that in that locker room last year? Not really. He was great on the returns. I mean, he wasn't targeted that much. Wasn't
When
he?
needed,
Was great.
yeah.
He was great on the returns. Great on the returns, but was not targeted much. Am I right or am I wrong?
Is that a Shepard problem or is that a McCarron problem?
Or was it an offensive coordinator problem? Look, I'm just saying, I don't know if he's retiring. I just, in my gut, tells me that he's not coming back and he's retiring. Just in my gut. Now, Aitman, he had some big games. He had some big games. I'm talking nonsense. What's up, Wyatt? He had said something to us earlier while we were interviewing. He said, hi, Wyatt. Listen, you have that room with, look, and everybody knows I'm not a fan of Butler, but Butler is good. Butler, Peasy, Jackson. It's going to be hard for these guys to go there. I don't think that this team is going to be anything like it's been for the last 2 years. The Battlehawks. I hate to say it. I just don't. I don't really think it's going to be all that good of a team. I'm sorry. I just don't. As much as it was AJ who made that team what it was. In Arlington, would you believe I would be defending AJ McCarron?
You was going to do it regardless anyway.
No, because I always talk trash. I never liked AJ McCarron because he played for Alabama. Super nice guy, but he played for Alabama. I was never an Alabama fan, right? I don't see this team being any better than what it was. So if you really want to talk about it like teams that have the most to prove, again, Arlington, like you said, it would be St. Louis because AJ is not there, right? Sabrina, I'm not saying, listen, I agree with you that it was play calling. But, I mean, Arlington believes in Manny Wilkins. I don't, because I was at that game. I watched him play. He did not play a good game at all.
Because that was one game. Manny has more experience with that group than the other two quarterbacks. But here's my thing, though. And I'm not going to sit here and be like Max Duggan is the answer to the Battlehawks' problems. And I get it. He's a name. And the same thing with Cordero. But if there's anything, that's Manny Wilkins' job to lose.
So here's the question. I agree with you. But here's the question, Arlington. What happened to your boy Brandon Silvers? Why isn't he back?
Well, Silvers is with AJ McCarron. He was there for that reason. They're boys. They're boys. That's why. I ain't got nothing against them. If you want to sit here and say, well, he took a roster spot. That's between AJ, Brandon Silvers, Coach Beck, and Bruce Gradkowski. Them. And Dave Bowler. That's between all of them. So that's why I can't understand.
He didn't just have one bad game. He had 2 bad games.
He had one. It was just the game against Arlington.
No, he played in 2 games.
He played a little bit in the game against DC.
And he did not do good there either.
What do you mean? He barely had time on the field.
Doesn't matter. He didn't do good in that game either.
Are you kidding me? He scored a touchdown. What are you talking about?
Okay, I'm just telling you. I'm telling you. The Battlehawks I don't think are going to be at the top of this list like they were last year.
You writing off Manny Wilkins way too
I am writing him off. I'm writing off the entire quarterback room. The entire quarterback room.
Man, listen. And I understand that, Amanda, that he was the X factor. And he was that. But I'm saying here that Manny Wilkins got a chance to be behind that. Remember, he was the 3rd string guy in 23.
That is true. He was. You're right.
Because you liked Nick Tiano. And guess what?
Nick Tiano was a bum too.
You said you wanted Tiano over AJ McCarron. Don't sit there and lie.
Again, because AJ McCarron played in Alabama. I'm not an Alabama fan.
Freaking what?
Never been an Alabama fan. Never.
I'm looking forward to seeing Houston when they have with Jalen McClendon. I
mean,
really want to see him be out there and win the starting quarterback job for Curtis Johnson. I really think with his strong arm, they can do a lot of damage in the UFL.
I agree.
I don't know what it's going to mean for wins, but he definitely can put up for stats because he did when he was with Vegas. When he got his opportunity. When he got his opportunity, he looked great.
You're right. He did. You sit here and you look at this, Arlington. Here's the thing. We're going back into this year, right? And we're looking at it and you're seeing everybody on social media and they're all just pissed off and mad about when the season's starting, complaining about the Friday night games now because all our teams got 2 Friday night games and too many Friday night games. Blah, 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 right? Arlington, how do you see this season going this year?
You know what? With a Friday night game, I know that is a problem for many fans. I know optics may not be the best, but television-wise, it could be a blessing in disguise because we've always been looking for some type of professional football on Friday night. And now you're placing this in a time slot that was once filmed for wrestling. There's going to be a drop off because of the audience. Now, with this game that's coming up on the 28th, it has to be high scoring. It has to be.
Do you think it's smart putting it against the Roughnecks, the Battlehawks versus the Roughnecks?
I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
You don't think so? You don't think it should have been a different team? You don't think it should have been like DC or Birmingham or something like that?
No.
Okay.
For years, we used to have a rivalry of sorts when it came to baseball with St. Louis and Houston. Now you can do that this time with the Roughnecks, right? And I never forget the game in 23. I attended that game in Houston where I saw Donnie Hageman hit the 63-yard field goal or 62-yard field goal at the time, which was the spring football record until guess what? You and I were there when Jake Bates broke the record. So that's something that I can never sit back and be like, hey, I'm not a fan of this. Listen, it's going to be difficult at times for people to get there on a Friday night. At least they're doing it on a Friday night.
Well, Sabrina brings up a good point here. It's interesting to see how the Friday night thing goes. So that means there's no tailgating, right? I mean, I think there will be.
Some will do it.
Some would do it. I don't think it'll be an all-day event like it normally is, which I think that's good for St. Louis fans because sometimes we can be obnoxious as Eagle fans. You know, I mean, it's the truth. We can. I mean, I'm very optimistic about this season.
Yeah.
She's got a point.
Not.
She got a point there.
No.
Point.
Come on, breaking tradition with the first home game. No, why not have the first home game against your XFL conference opponent that beat you in your home stadium the first time? Why is that a problem?
That is
San
true.
Antonio
Back in
is the first
no,
opponent.
They didn't beat us here in 2020.
It was last year that San Antonio beat St. Louis.
Well, it's not San Antonio. It's Houston. It's Houston we're playing.
The first home game is against San Antonio the following week.
That is true. That is true.
That's my point. Someone breaking tradition against
she's
Arlington.
Saying we should have played Arlington. We should have played Arlington as our first game. Yes.
No.
Oh, no, because in the merged league, we played San Antonio.
The point was last year that what she's saying is that Arlington played St. Louis the first time, which we do look at them as our rival opponent in that particular thing, but I'm thinking San Antonio is that opponent. And what better game for week number 2 for your first home game is to play against a team that beat you in your home stadium for the XFL Conference Championship. That's a good way to get some revenge. I don't care. I don't care that they were the last 2 years. I don't care. It doesn't matter. They looked at the matchup, and the matchup looks way better than having Arlington there. So you just got to deal with it. They're going to play with them twice a year anyway. That's not traditions. This ain't no tradition here. A tradition.
Well, first we got to build this up even more to even get more traditions with it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, listen, here's the thing. I mean, I know a lot of people, we all sit here and we all complain about we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to do this, right? Okay, so you look at these other cities, they're starting to do more community events, right? Like the Showboats have been in their community. They've already done 12 community events in Memphis, the Showboats have, right? 12. The Battlehawks are getting ready to do their first one this Wednesday. Now, we got snow coming into town, so how's that going to work out? It's at Ballpark Village, right in the middle of the week. But hell, at least they announced it a week ahead of time instead of a couple days later, like a day or two ahead of time like they normally do. At least they did it a week out. What? I just speak the truth, bro.
I ain't got nothing against it.
You know, Houston's starting to get out into their community more. San Antonio. I mean, San Antonio is a whole different breed in itself. I really feel bad for the San Antonio fan base because that
They
entire
stick.
It's not even the short end of the stick, man. That entire organization, entire team is constantly in the San Antonio area doing something, right? They might be the only team that's constantly doing something in their team. They might do more in their community than the Showboats, which the Showboats, a lot of credit to Andy, a lot of credit to the Showboat people on the staff on how much work they're doing down there with 12 community events. That might, they might lead the league in community events so far, Memphis.
So we got
12.
4 cities. So we got 4 cities that have NFL teams, and then 4 cities that don't.
Correct.
And you mentioned 2 of the UFL cities that are being out in the community that don't have an NFL tie.
San Antonio and Memphis. Correct.
So that means the other 2, which are St. Louis and who else?
Arlington.
They have a team. It's called the Dallas Cowboys.
DC. That's it then. That would be it. Houston has
the
a
other
team.
is Birmingham.
Oh, Birmingham. No, Birmingham's done a few events, but not as many as San Antonio and Memphis.
So they guess they want to ramp, and I'm guessing they're going to start ramping come after the Super Bowl.
I mean, maybe you're right. They could. You're absolutely right. They could. So, I mean, listen, if you guys aren't following any of these pages, go on Facebook and just type in Memphis Showboats. If you're in the Memphis area, type in Memphis Showboats. If you're in the Birmingham Stallion area, type in Birmingham Stallions. I mean, look, a lot of credit to Boomer down there in the Birmingham area, getting the word out about the Stallions, right? I mean, it's just go put in St. Louis Battlehawks, go put in Memphis Showboats, DC Defenders, all the team names. You'll find group after group after group after group, and you'll see what these teams are doing. The only 2 teams that are even showing anything that they're doing the most, Memphis and San Antonio. Now, I don't know why Memphis can't get the attendance up. Maybe it's because of Liberty Stadium or whatever. I don't know. Maybe it was, the last couple years, the team hasn't been that good, but you cannot deny what this front office in Memphis is doing to get them out there.
Here's my issue with this.
Okay.
They had that problem in 2019. I'm talking about Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
They had it in 2019 with the Alliance of American Football. They went and signed Johnny Manziel. He was out there for 1 game, and it did not. I don't even think it drew 10,000 for that game. But that's the thing.
You can trace it all the way back to the original USFL with the Memphis Express.
Well, with the showboats.
No, it was with the showboats, right? You can trace it all the way back to then. I think with Memphis bringing in the people that they have a lot to prove. Houston has a lot to prove. St. Louis has a lot to prove. Can they win without A.J. McCarron? That's going to be the narrative for this year with the Battlehawks. Can they win without A.J.? Can you imagine, Arlington, if they come home and they've lost that first game? Then they come into they lose to the Brahmas in the second game, right? Like, I mean, I wish we had a little more time with TJ because I'd asked him, hey, what was it like playing in St. Louis? But you kind of did. You're like, what was it? He's like, dude, it's win's a win. I don't think of all that stuff. I go in to win that game. You know? Mm-hmm. Dude, if this team if the Battlehawks go 0-2, it's not going to look good. It's not going to look good.
I guess City is probably going to have the biggest crowd this year because if that's the case, not a lot of people going to go to these Cardinal games because they're already sick of them.
Yeah, the Cardinals are garbage anyways. So this is going to be a very, very interesting season for the UFL. Very, very interesting season. Now we are 2 years into this league, right? Okay. You brought back the UFL kickoff, which all of us UFL or XFL diehards were pissed off, right? We were all pissed off that they changed the start date, but the people in the USFL loved it. Now the people at the USFL diehard hate it. They want it to be moved up more. But listen, I don't even know if that's going to happen because if you go online and you look, even though the players union said they don't want an 18th game, the owners are like, we don't care because we're going to vote on it. And who do you think's going to get an 18th game, Arlington?
The NFL.
And guess what? That would put the Super Bowl exactly where they've always wanted it, where it's the day after Super Bowl Sunday is a holiday. It'd be right after it'd be President's Day weekend. Yeah. So, listen, I know it sucks. I mean, listen, but you got players that are on the practice squads from the NFL teams that didn't make it that are coming to the UFL. So we don't even really know these rosters yet. We're just going by we were just doing our basis of what these coaching staffs are. So we really won't start seeing rosters really start shaping up until after the big game on Sunday. Because all the practice squad players are going to get cut. Who's to say that the Battlehawks quarterback isn't not on the roster yet? I mean, there's big talk of Jimmy G back to the NFL. What happens if he shows up in the UFL?
I don't know.
Hey.
Question that can be asked for next week.
Next week. I'm Spurg. That's my partner.
We untouchable. We get up out of here.
We'll see you guys next week.
Been off the end with the fishes. Difficult could take a day, but in an hour I was finished. I've been sipping in them right now. Been killing since I was sneaking out of Diamond's house. On my ops turf, chilling right outside the house. Rebel mind, goose bean, even got a vouch. Cause I'm untouchable, like the Huxtables. I'm about to peel for this cheese, man. It's like a lunch.